Well, hello and welcome to the Pastor Study. We are dealing with the subject of suffering, of difficulty. So this brings us to another question. Well, what's the point? What's the point in having problems and difficulties? Well, Job 23 verse 10 says this, "But he knows the way I take, and when he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." One of the things that is necessary when it comes to refining metal is heat must be applied so that the metal itself is made into a liquid and the impurities rise to the surface. And you repeat this process and impurities keep rising to the surface. Well, the same is true in our lives. Difficulties and problems can bring about that purification process. C.S. Lewis says this, "God whispers us to in our pleasures. He speaks to us in our conscience, but he shouts to us in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." In the midst of pain, God is screaming out to us, sometimes to try to get our attention, to change our life, to modify the things that we are doing, to show us things in our life that do not belong. I can't explain to you, and I don't believe there would be a Christian out there who could explain to you why a specific problem has come into your life. Yes, there may be indications. Yes, there may be things that show where you're not being obedient to God's word, but not every problem is a clear sign of sin. Sometimes it's just to strengthen our faith. I can think of things in my own life that God used trials to strengthen me, to teach me to trust, so that 10 years later, when I was faced with similar situations, I could confidently say, you know what? God took care of me before, and I can trust him to take care of me now. And I found that the second time around, I didn't worry near as much. As I began to understand more of God's faithfulness in my life, I began to trust him with greater and greater things. You see, God can use these trials and these difficulties to change us, to cause us to look at our lives, to correct us, to protect us, to perfect us. Let me read you this. This is a quote from the end. "This I know, life is a series of problem-solving opportunities. The problems I face will either defeat me or develop me, depending on how I respond to them. So every problem has a piece of good news attached to it." Look for the things that God is trying to teach you in the midst of your problem. Till next time we get together, goodbye, and may God